10 ways to persuade someone to do what you want. Use at your own discretion. What if I tell you you can persuade anyone to do what you want by following simple psychological theories? Each theory will be given real-life scenarios that you can follow, why it works, and if there's any danger and limitation to its application. Number 1. Foot in the door technique. Ask for something small, and then when a person agrees, ask for something bigger. Simple. Make sure that your first request is relatively insignificant to your actual request. You've met this girl at the bookstore and you realize you like her. After sharing which books you find interesting, you decided you want to pursue her further. You then ask for her number, and then later in the evening, you text her if she knows a nice cafe to hang out with. After she suggests one, you say, "You know, you really seem cool to hang out with. We should get a coffee sometime." This works because the initial small requests, which will likely be complied, will convince her she likes you because she's doing you a favor. This is also known as the Ben Franklin effect, which I will discuss in a short while. And because she likes you, she would feel the need to be consistent in her feelings, because people hate to contradict with their beliefs. Number 2. Door in the face. If the foot in the door makes an initial simple request, followed by a huge one, this one does the opposite. Make an excessive request or a decoy request, and then follow it up by a more reasonable one, which is your actual request. The second offer, if done correctly, will look relatively insignificant compared to the initial excessive request, therefore much easier to agree with. Once when I was in a coffee shop, sitting near the entrance, a street vendor suddenly showed up and opened the door, jammed his foot between the door and the frame, literally applying the foot in the door technique. Only this time, it was the opposite. Whispering, he offered me to buy a bag of bean sprouts. Now who would buy bean sprouts in the middle of the day in a coffee shop? So as soon as I said no politely, in a rehearsed manner, he gave a second offer. "Well, can you just give me money instead?" Unfortunately for him, I was reading the book Influence and Persuasion by Cialdini that afternoon. Had I not known what tactic that kid was using, I would have gladly succumbed for the simpler alternative, just to get rid of him. Your first request should not be so hard to comply with that it will drive the person away. Your decoy request should be aligned to your actual request. In our example, if the merchant counter-offered me a smaller bag of bean sprouts, I would have bought it. Number 3. Ben Franklin effect. When you do someone a favor, no matter how simple it is, you tend to believe you like that person. Because why else would you do something for him if you don't like him in the first place? Growing up, I used to hate my older sister. Well, I still kind of feel the same way. Don't we all as younger brothers? They're bossy, rude, and ask you simple favors which they obviously can do by themselves, like changing TV channels or getting her a glass of water. Or when you meet for lunch and she asks you to get the receipt, when the request itself is equal to the amount of energy she would have spent doing it by herself. But because of the sinister Ben Franklin effect, the same trait that I hate about her is the same one that pulls her back on my good side. There is a theory called cognitive dissonance. This happens when we do something that is against our beliefs. In Ben Franklin effect, the request is so simple to agree with, so we comply with it. The result is, I justify my actions to myself that I did her a favor because I like her in the first place. Number 4. Scarcity principle. We want what is limited, especially what we can't have. In economics, it's when the high demand for a product is mismatched with limited availability. In business, this is when store owners deceptively post "while supplies last" or a website post says "sale ends in 1 hour." In romantic relationship, it's when you become less available. Are you stuck with just being friends? I'm sure the reason is you've become too common in her sight. And that's why you're in that dreaded position. You may think you should stick around so she'll magically realize one day how much of a catch you are. Wrong. This is the same reason she sees you as a brother, or worse, gay best friend. Here's what you should do. Detachment. Amplify your presence by being all over her for a month, then disappear after day 31. Disconnect from her to a point she starts doubting your existence. Maybe not that much. Don't ever respond to her messages. If she approaches you personally, politely excuse yourself and don't be rude about it. You're in this mission to become a mystery man, not a drama queen. Don't be afraid she'll end up with a new guy bestie, whom she will throw all her personal problems at. You don't want to be that guy anymore. Execute for not more than a month or you'll become a shade in her memory. The best gay but not gay best friend once she had. In the process, she will crave for your attention, massively increase your importance, resets your profile in her mind, and will increase her chances of being a romantic partner. Repeatedly do this until she gets crazy of you being in and out of her life. Your importance becomes less as you become more available. Do not go beyond a month or she'll be comfortable of your absence. Number 5. Reciprocity norm. This is probably the most used psychological trick because social norm tells us to give back to those who have done good to us. I have a friend in college who I once did a favor by researching a topic for his paper. A few weeks after, I asked him a favor if he could pick me up at a grocery store because it was raining hard, so I was stranded. So I called him up, and as soon as I finished the sentence, I sensed his hesitancy and an incoming alibi. So before he spews out a lie, I told him I would give him gas money, and immediately changed his tone. Danger number 1. I may have used my reciprocity card too late, so I needed to offer him gas money as a new form of reciprocity for picking me up. Danger number 2. Don't ever mention the previous favor you did, because this will make the request an obligation and will make the person hate you. Number 6. Amplification hypotheses. In Persuasion, arguments based on emotion are resistant to logic, and vice versa. Your girlfriend gets mad at you for not wanting to get married. You want to, but for you, it isn't the time yet. Now she says you don't love her anymore, but you counter that silly argument by saying it will be impractical for you guys to marry today because of financial restraints. You then lay out a logical argument, surveys, data, psychology journals that support your argument to delay marriage. You are then surprised that she doesn't buy the data that says 80% of couples who marry by the age of 25 got divorced in 5 years. Why? Because you should have said instead that you love her. You should have amplified her reaction by hysterically saying, how could she think you don't love her just because you don't want it to get on paper? If you think she's the love of your life, marry her right there and then, or else she'll leave you. Trust me, she will. Number 7. Operant conditioning. It is a learning process in which a behavior is strengthened by a reward or punishment. Most of us guys have been in this situation. Your girlfriend is mad at you for something you're not sure what is. You have no idea what it is, but since we are men of passion and will do anything for pleasure, we react to this situation by careful persuasion. What is wrong, honey? What did I do? Please, tell me. And after hours of careful deliberation, rumination, and disputation, she finally reveals what it is. You exhaled a sigh of relief that it's not your browser history. Now comes stage 2, the much harder part. The issue escalates because you were supposed to be a mentalist, and she didn't have to tell it to you, and you should have known it already in the first place. After another 4 hours of debate, you finally repent your sins and recant the saying she acted immaturely. You become a happy couple again, but peace awaits for conflict. Your mistake is you shouldn't have tolerated that attitude in the first place. You should have used the amplification hypothesis and expressed your madness and confusion with conviction and passion. I remember an ex-girlfriend who used to snap out of her drama whenever I escalate the situation by amplifying her drama. She would be bewildered and would say, "Why would you match my attitude like a girl?" And then we would start to discuss what it really was. Totally worth it. No danger here. Apply this theory with reckless abandonment. Number 8. Classical conditioning. If you want to strengthen a person's behavior or make them do something you want, do something they like while they are doing it. If you associate something they want to the behavior or deed you want them to do, they will feel good about that deed you want them to do. After overcoming the fear of rejection and you finally got the courage to ask that girl out and she says yes, bring her to some place she hasn't been before or engage in activity she hasn't done before. There's a reason why movies portray couples who got attracted to each other by going on an adventure, surviving a plane crash, or escaping a serial killer. It's called novelty, and the brain associates novelty with romantic feelings. As cliche as it looks, riding a roller coaster named the Devil's Highway can stimulate romantic feelings. Number 9. Acquiescence effect. When we are asked questions, especially if it's a leading question by someone who is an authority or someone we want to please, we tend to answer in a positive manner. For example, your religious leader asks, "I am a messenger of God, do you think I make mistakes?" Your realtor asks you, "Do you want the best house that fits your lifestyle?" You'll say yes and you'll accept that whatever house she presents you might be the right one. Case number 1. Your girlfriend asks you, "How fat do I look in this dress?" The wrong answer is, "A bit, but it's not noticeable. Don't worry." The correct answer is, "No, how could you think you even slightly look fat in that? You look gorgeous, you sexy siren." Case number 2. She asks you again, "What happens when you meet a slim-looking brunette with a Baltic beauty at your workplace?" The wrong answer is, "Nothing will happen, but she'll be the object of my fantasy." It's wrong because you assume you'll find someone as hot as that chick is. The answer is, "Honey, I won't find someone as beautiful as you are." Number 10 and the last one, lowball. Lowball is commonly used in monetary negotiations. You ask for a reasonably lower price, and then if the owner finds there's room for negotiation, he will adjust his price to meet your demand. It is similar with bait and switch tactic, where the seller offers the buyer something cheap and attractive. Then when the buyer is already invested with the negotiation, the salesperson will switch the offer to something more expensive. 2 years ago, I saw a dental ad about teeth whitening on Facebook. Then when I went to the clinic, the dentist didn't want to give me the service because he wanted to do a full dental service first, such as cleaning, x-rays to see if some of my teeth need root canal, and dental fillings. I was victimized by bait and switch tactic. The teeth whitening service is just a decoy offer for other services. Needless to say, I left the clinic with my coffee-stained teeth because I didn't want to undergo the painful procedure of root canal. So there you go, 10 persuasion tactics that you can use to dominate the world. I hope you enjoyed and learned something in this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.